All right, so here we are again, doing our military interviews here with 2018 graduate Ethan Carlson. Ethan played linebacker and about every single special teams for us. So it was a 3-year letter winner. Was big time for us on special teams for 3 years at the varsity level. Was also part of the 2017 playoff team. Ethan, kind of give us an update, background on you and being in the military.
Yeah, so I left. I left summer of 2018. I think six to 8 months after I graduated. So I got out pretty quick. We do well. All the Air Force does all their basic training down in San Antonio, Texas. So I went from Sydney to San Antonio, completed training in about 3 months, and then went on to Wichita Falls, Texas, which is about Central Texas. And there we did what we call our technical training. So it's like they just basically teach you your job, what you'll actually be doing in the military. And then from there, I got sent out to Seymour Johnson, North Carolina, and that's in Goldsboro. So little bit about what we do down here. We're under ACC, which is Air Combat Command, and out here we fly the F-15E Strike Eagle. And so nowadays I am a electrical and environmental technician on the F-15. And so whenever these bad planes come down with a whole lot of problems, then we're the ones that will roll up to it, shut it down, and then start digging through the guts of the plane and fixing all the electrical wiring that could have gone bad. And then the environmental portion of it is all like air conditioning, cabin pressurization, canopy seal.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of fun that goes into it. but yeah, so far my journey's been kind of short. I've been in for about 2 years, a little over 2 years, and it's been a great one, honestly. Like there are a lot of options for someone coming straight out of high school, and college is definitely a great one, and that's a major reason that I joined. But a lot of the reason that I joined was to get a hold of the job that I did, and like I love airplanes and I really love what I do. So it's a really cool thing for me to be a part of. And then the education aspect of it. I've been starting schooling since 3 or 4 months ago, which fortunately it took a while to actually start, but I actually have now, and it feels amazing.
And then as far as that schooling, I'm assuming it's paid for and it's still something with what you're doing right now at the military?
Yeah. It's electrical engineering, and then it is in part paid for. Yeah, the military provides you with tuition assistance, which
Okay.
is lovely, which is absolutely lovely.
Okay. And then as far as moving forward, I know you come from a military background,
Yeah, absolutely.
family. Is that something that you possibly make it a career, not go into the, as a regular workforce, or what's kind of your goals looking forward, or if you had thought too far about it?
Yeah, definitely will probably extend another 4 years after this 4 years is up. Um, Largely in part to finish all my schooling that I'm pursuing right now, and then it's a good way for me to not stay stagnant. It helps me a lot. Like my whole life, I've been used to moving around. Like my dad has been Army for almost 20 years now, and growing up as a child, we moved around all the time, and
Mhm.
staying in one place isn't something that I'm very used to. So, and these guys like to pick us up moving around all the time, and
Yeah.
it can be stressful, but I really enjoy it. I really enjoy not being just in one place all the time. It feels
Um,
good.
just you kind of out of curiosity, how many different places from the time you were born were you living at?
Um, so we started in Flint, Michigan, and then from there we went to Columbus. So we went to Flint, Michigan, Columbus, Ohio, Coppers Cove, Texas, and then we moved back up to Ohio, to Troy for like 2 years, and then we moved back to Sydney, and then yeah, we stayed in Sydney for, I think I lived there for about 9 years,
Yeah.
8 years, and that was the longest I've ever lived in one spot, and it was great, honestly. Like, I look back on my time in Sydney a lot, and I know a lot of people, like I rush to get out, and like I know so many people that say like, oh my God, I can't wait to get out of Sydney. A bunch of high schoolers talking about how they they want to get out and they don't ever want to come back or stuff like that. But honestly, like even from all the places that I've lived, and even since then, like, I mean, there's no place like home. There just isn't. But like, in the grand scheme of things, there's a lot more out there than Sydney, but there's a lot of things that you won't find anywhere else that is in Sydney. And
Yeah.
like, I've come to realize that, like, and I've come to actually like see it like firsthand and stuff. Like there is a lot in Sydney that's not anywhere else. And especially just the community itself.
Right.
I've seen the community pull together in ways that I've never seen anywhere else, and I probably will never see in my entire life.
Yeah. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure you were still in school, but I remember having a conversation with your dad, and he kind of said, I've lived in a lot of different places. We've moved my family around. Even prior to that, I've lived in a lot of different places. And he said, no one has ever taken us in as a community as Sydney did. But it
Absolutely,
was just,
absolutely.
we weren't prepared for it on how it happened, how the school district made sure our kids were taken care of when we got here. I vividly remember that probably 5-6 years ago when he was, I don't know, he just kind of brought it up on his own. I thought that meant a lot. Just a different perspective from someone coming in from the outside.
Mhm.
I moved in from the outside 15 years ago, and I kind of feel the same way as far as the city itself and the school district.
Yeah, I really believe that. I really do. I really do.
Good. Talk about what football means to you.
Man, man. Like, even still, like even still nowadays, like everyone has that like it's over feeling, like it's been what, 3 years, 2.5 years, something like that, since my senior season. And everyone has that, oh, like I miss it. Like, sitting down on a Friday night, like if you're just chilling out, you're thinking, man, I used to, be running around on the turf, having a good time with all my buddies while, half the community shows up to watch. It's just an amazing thing to be part of. Like, really, like it's something that like a Friday night is something that if you didn't play football, like, nothing wrong with that. But if you didn't play football, like, there is a lot to miss out on. Like, it is something that you probably never get anywhere else unless you continued your football career. Like, unless you went and played at the college level or anywhere else. It is something like truly special, truly special. Especially when the team's rolling along and we all got good chemistry. Man, like this, it's a different feel good. Like it's a different feel good when you have that type of relationship with other people, and it's so cool to go through like an entire summer of 2 days and just nonstop practicing, hitting the weight room, every single day, and then going in to put that kind of effort into, one game a week is like something like really special. But and overall though, I I find myself like quite often, like even like with my job, like there's days where I only work an 8-hour shift, and then there's days where I work a 13-hour shift, and it sucks, but a lot of the a lot of the grind that I put towards my work, in my career, um, a lot of that grind I learned how to grind from football. Like, it came from like going to the gym on a Saturday or a Friday when I have other things that I could be doing, or like, people I could be hanging out with, doing something else, but rather, spending that time in the gym, or putting like everything you got into a 2 a day when you woke up early and you didn't want to go. You
Mhm.
know, that feeling after you complete a lift that you didn't want to do, or that feeling after you finish practice and you like really gave everything you had, that feeling after that is like something that I've learned to chase, and I learned it from football. Like it all came from football. Like like, reaping what you sow is something that like the game like really, really, really taught me. And like I said, a lot of the grind that I put into my career, like a lot of that drive, I learned from football. And
Awesome.
and that's something that I wouldn't say I could have never got from anything else, but I never would have learned it like in the scope that I learned it from football.
Yep.
Like sometimes you just work hard and like stuff doesn't pay off, or or it doesn't work out the way you thought it would. Like all those like little lessons like football really taught me.
Nothing's guaranteed, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
No matter how
absolutely.
hard you work, sometimes you're not always going to get what you think you deserve. And
Right.
it's really poignant you saying that. And I like the other thing you brought up is sometimes the first 5 minutes of something is the hardest part. The
Oh,
first five
absolutely.
minutes of getting up in the day, the first 5 minutes of starting a lift, the first 5 minutes of starting that homework assignment, the first 5 minutes of going to work might be the
Yep.
hardest part of just getting something started. Then after
Yes.
that, it always seems kind of silly. Why was that so tough for me to get that started? So that's a great point, Ethan.
Yeah,
Really appreciate that.
absolutely, absolutely. That is true. Um, it it's a there the you brought up a point. You brought up a point about things not like always just turning out right, and that you know my dad once told me he said that one of the biggest lies he was told as a kid was do do what you love, or like have the job that you love, do love your work, and you'll never work a day in your life. And he told me, he said, I honestly believe that's a lie. And he said that because he said not everything is always like perfect, not everything is always great. Like you might have your dream job, but there's always parts of that job that are going to annoy you. There's always parts of what you do that will not be enjoyable. There's always some
Right.
things that you have to do versus that you want to do, and there's always stuff that you know that you just don't want to do, but you
Right.
have to. And like even with football, like I absolutely love football. Like if even going to practice like was things that I looked forward to. Like the game of football has always meant so much to me. And like you know I played it from when they start kids in, playing tackle football in Texas in like third grade. So we started playing tackle football in third grade, and then ended up moving back to Ohio, and then going back to like flag football, and then
Right.
eventually up to Pee Wee. But I played the game my entire life, and I absolutely loved it. Like it is something that it gave me a drive. It gave me the sense of like community between the friends that I always played with. We
Mhm.
even to this day, our senior class, like we're all pretty tight knit. Like I still talk to pretty much everyone. Like there's probably like two or three people that I don't get to talk to as much, but when I come home, I see most of them. When I always catch them, shoot me a text here and there, like throughout weeks and stuff, and it's super cool. But even through like all those wonderful things that I loved about football, like even how much I loved the game, there were always things about it that I didn't want to do. Like there were always things that I would have rather been doing something else. Like
Mhm.
especially like a 4 a.m. lift. I absolutely loved being in the weight room too, but I hated going in at 4 a.m. or 5 or whatever it was. I hated going in early. I hated it. But
It was
every single
it
time I
was
finished
it was 7 a.m., but it's all right.
it, man, during the summer that feels like so early before the sun's up. Oh my god, we were coming in there in like PJs and stuff.
But would you say once again that first 5 minutes of just getting
Exactly,
up in the morning is tough, and then when you get there,
exactly,
you kind of start feeding off some other guys. Not every
right,
single day is going to be. Everyone's not going to be on their game every single Monday morning
right,
lift, Wednesday morning lift. We always said we got to have 90% of you got to be at least faking it. That you're
yep,
enjoying to be here, because if we start falling below that 90%, not even just faking it, we're in trouble.
right,
You guys did a fantastic job, as your senior class did, of sometimes you got to fake it till you make it, and sometimes
yep,
eventually it turns into being genuine. That first 5 minutes might just be all fake, and then you kind of get the blood pumping a little bit, and you start feeling pretty good about yourself. Um,
absolutely.
Hey, I
That
really, really
process of
appreciate this, man.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. When it's done though, when you finish that thing you didn't want to do,
Right.
It's the best feeling in the world. I never would have really felt that if it wasn't for football. Going in at early in the morning, finishing the lift, finishing a 2 a day, that gratifying feeling that you get when it's over, doing something you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Man, I would have never learned that if it wasn't for football.
That's awesome. I really, really appreciate this. Thank you for taking the time doing this with us. Don't be a stranger. I know you come back quite often to see mom and dad, but make sure you're not being a stranger when you come back into town. Unbelievably proud of you, man. Love you. Make sure you tell your parents I said hi. I said hi also.
For sure. Absolutely will do.
All right. Thank you, Ethan.
Yeah, absolutely.